Hello folks, come on in. This time we're going to record some guitar samples and I'm going to show you some really basic guitar sample processing. Nothing too heavy or anything like that, so don't worry about it. I'm also going to show you why recording into an Apollo is probably easier to work with. And also the juicy bit is we're going to take those samples, put it into the Phase-4 to get yourself some really sweet sounding bass. Alright, let's dig in. Whoa, that's a low flying helicopter. They're probably looking for pot plants in the field. Never mind that. So just for a quick moment, we're going to pop inside the UAD Console, which is the software that comes with the Apollo Twin. And you kind of need this software just to manage all the different plugins that it comes with. The best part of this unit is that it has a CPU built into it, and so it doesn't tax your computer at all. There's no latency involved with it, and the plugins sound really good. Like, you can add different amp modelers to it, and you can also add channel strips like the SSL and the Neve, and they all sound amazing. And it just takes so much of the work out of processing anything that you want to record, like a guitar or a vocal, and it doesn't tax your computer whatsoever. The first sample I'm going to record is going to be more melodic, more solo-y, and I'm going to do it on this here Fender Telecaster. Okay, I'm going to play the guitar part to you acoustically, meaning I'm not going to plug it into an amp or my computer. And the reason is that if you don't play guitar, I want to illustrate to you just how ridiculously different it is to play a guitar when it's not plugged in versus when it is plugged in. So let's check that out. The second one that I'm going to grab is going to be more rhythmic, and I'm going to do it on this here Gibson Les Paul. So now we're inside the box. I've recorded both guitar parts. You can see this is the Gibson rhythmic style here in green, and then the yellow is the melody part on the Telecaster. Okay, just for curiosity's sake, let's have a listen to what it sounds like recorded through the Apollo with an amp modeler on it. We'll do 3 different amp modelers. Let's check it out. All right, you'll have to excuse my terrible playing right now. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on recording the guitar parts because that's not really the point of this video. Here's another example. And then the last one. Okay, so we're not going to use those. I just thought maybe for interest's sake, if you were curious about what the Apollo can do for you, then maybe there's an example. Okay, so here's what it sounds like just raw, recorded right into Bitwig. Okay, so the first place I like to start is I like to put a little bit of compression on it. Not too much because I don't want to suck all the life out of it, but let's just throw a compressor on there and just have a listen to what it sounds like. So if you're recording into a real guitar amp, the harder you play, the more the amp kind of breaks up. And that's the kind of effect that I like to start going with. So think of it like this. If I could draw a horizontal line with my mouse cursor right about here, right? Now all the peaks that are above the horizontal line would be all the bits that I want to use to drive the amp device harder, the amp device that we're going to put on the guitar right now. So let's load that up. Now we're going to try and come up with a way that we can take these peaks that are just kind of above there and use that to drive this up a bit. Okay, so let's see if we can figure something out here. Well, my first clue would be to take an audio sidechain and then mod it so that this goes up, this goes down, and that goes up. So pretty simple. Now you can see that this thing is grabbing the peaks in the audio waveform and kind of driving these along with it. So they are explicitly connected. Okay, so I went ahead and threw a reverb and a chorus in there as well. And I'm going to do the same thing with that audio sidechain. And we're just going to grab the peaks. So the point I'm just trying to illustrate to you here is to think about this. When you want to find a way that you can grab these top peaks right here and use that to modulate things that happen down below in the device chain. For example, driving your amp a little harder, turning up the reverb mix a little bit more, and other things, whatever else you want. I threw a little chorus on here and a little delay too, except I'm not modulating them. But it illustrates the point that what you put in is what you get out. And so all this work, and I still don't honestly think it sounds as good as the stock Apollo plugin. Okay, let's have a listen to the rhythm bit. Nice. Okay, so this is a little bit easier to manage because again, we're going to put a compressor on it, but we're not going to have to deal with those peaks as much. So with a rhythm bit like this, I would go and squish it a little bit further with a compressor, just so you get that plucky kind of finger picky sound that I like. And we're not going to have to, there's no like real correcting that I'm going to have to do here. Of course, you could put an EQ on there and take out some of the buzzy notes. I'm sorry about that. My guitar, it's been a hard winter on my guitars, so they're in desperate need of a setup. But we can go right into adding a little reverb, a little chorus, and that will go a long way. Okay, great. I'm pretty much happy with that. You know, simple, very few ingredients here, just a reverb and a chorus, and of course a compression. So the point I'm trying to make here with rhythmic guitar parts, you want to squish them quite a bit more with your compressor. And then, I mean, it's easy to process these. You just throw a little reverb and a little bit of chorus on there, and then you should be good to go. Okay, check this out. This is the coolest thing ever. This is the bit we've all been waiting for. So I took an I took a Phase-4 right here, and then I took a, an audio rate, and and I pointed it to the rhythm chorus out. So that basically, if we're looking at the rhythm, it's taking a lead. It's piping off some of the signal right here. And what the audio rate is doing is exactly following these waves right here. So then I take the mod and I mod everything inside here, just at random. Like, I just took a bunch of stuff and modded it. One cool thing I have to just point out is when you hover over this, it shows you everything that's been modded, which is super good. Okay, so check this out. I have this muted, so all you're hearing is this device, okay? And then I'm gonna hit play, and this audio rate's gonna take over, but check out what happens. Isn't that the coolest thing in the world? So now I'm thinking, if I were to write the bass line for this song using this Phase-4 device so that it harmonizes, then it would just be the coolest thing ever. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, check it out. I realized that I didn't play to a metronome or a grid at all when I recorded these guitar samples, but that's fine. It made it so that I had to do layer editing when I created these MIDI notes. And then, of course, there was a bend in there on my guitar, so I just followed that with this thingy, and it sounds pretty crazy. So this is what it's like without that audio rate effect on. Pretty cool, right? Now let's turn this puppy on. The thing that's cool about this is that it's not obvious. It's kind of gives it like a little bit of weird distortion, and it brings it to life a little bit. It's just like, oh, it's the coolest thing. I'm writing all my bass lines like this from now on. Okay, I couldn't help myself. Threw a pitch shifter on there, another audio rate. I modded, well, you can see what I modded right here. And it's just, I pulled down the mix a little bit. It added like even more distortion somehow. And it's just, yeah, it's groovy. That's the coolest thing ever. Okay, I hope that did something for you. Something new for you to play with. So take samples and fire them into the audio rate and use the audio rate to mess around with stuff, specifically this Phase-4, because that is super cool. I'm going to continue to play with this a bit because I think we can get really crazy with it here. The other take-home advice I'd like you to remember is that when you're processing guitar leads, then you're gonna try and siphon off the top bit of those audio wavelengths right here, this bit right there, and try to do something with it, right? Take those peaks and make it do something, which you can basically only do in Bitwig, which is super cool. And then with rhythm guitar, just compress the hell out of it if that's what you're going for, that plucky kind of feel. And yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, the rhythm guitar is not all that interesting. It's just it gets interesting once you get into the Phase-4, obviously, but for this sample, just, you know, it's a little reverb, a little chorus. And the other take-home point is that you get out what you put in. So obviously, when I'm recording with my Apollo, it is light years ahead of recording with my Focusrite Scarlett, and you know, that's just something for your brain to munch on there. If you're budgeting in an interface and you think you want to go, you want to get an Apollo, well, now maybe there's a little more of a case to go out and grab one. Okay, and the link for that thing is down below if you decide to do it. Okay guys, we'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Ciao.